While grieving my husband's death, I trusted my neighbor to handle some paperwork. Instead, she stole my identity, maxed out my accounts, and co-signed a new truck in my name. When I discovered it, I was heartbroken, but the real pain came when I found out my sister had helped her forge the documents. I stayed silent, collected every bit of evidence, and watched them get handcuffed in the middle of their weekly church luncheon. I'm 54. I live in Arkansas. This story starts 2 years ago, right after I lost my husband, Hank. Hank was my whole world. 28 years married. He wasn't just my husband. He was my teammate. My best friend. We built our whole life together in a small house in Pine Bluff. We never had kids, but we had each other. That was enough. Then, one Friday morning in early spring, he collapsed in our kitchen. The paramedics tried everything. But he was gone before we got to the hospital. My world just stopped. I was drowning. I didn't eat. I barely slept. I couldn't even bring myself to open the mail. There were bills, letters from the bank, life insurance paperwork, it all piled up on the dining room table while I sat in the dark and cried. That's when Lisa stepped in. Lisa was my neighbor. She was about my age, maybe a little younger. We'd never been close, just the usual neighborly waves and occasional small talk. But after Hank died, she was there every day. She brought me food. Took my dog, Buck, for walks. She mowed the grass when it got too high. She even helped me go through Hank's clothes when I couldn't face it alone. When the paperwork became too much, Lisa said, "Let me help. I handled my brother's estate a few years ago. I know how overwhelming this can be." At first, I said no. I didn't want to burden anyone. But Lisa kept insisting. She seemed so kind. She even cried with me sometimes when I broke down. Eventually, I gave in. I handed her Hank's death certificate, my social security number, bank account info, passwords. I thought, she's just helping. She's family now. The first sign something was wrong came 3 months later. A bill from a credit card company showed up. I thought it was junk mail. But it had my name on it, and a balance of $7,800. I called the company. They said I'd opened the account 2 months earlier. I told them they were wrong. A week later, 2 more bills arrived. Different credit cards. Totaling over $30,000. I started feeling sick all the time. I thought maybe it was grief. But deep down, I knew it was fear. Then came the final straw. A man from a towing company knocked on my door one Saturday morning. He had paperwork for repossessing my Dodge Ram 1500. I told him he had the wrong person. He handed me the contract. My name was on it. My signature. Cosigner? Lisa and McCall. I felt like the ground opened up beneath me. I confronted Lisa. I was shaking. "Did you buy a truck in my name?" Her eyes went wide. "What? No. Someone must have stolen your identity." She hugged me. Told me she'd help me figure it out. Said she'd call the credit card companies and the dealership herself. I wanted to believe her. She'd been so helpful. So supportive. But that night, I pulled out all the bank statements and bills I'd ignored for months. I stayed up until sunrise. And the truth was right there. Thousands of dollars spent at stores I'd never heard of. Jewelry. Restaurants. Electronics. And payments to the dealership where the truck had been purchased. I also found something else, a copy of the Chevy title transfer Hank and I had never finished filing. Someone had forged my signature. The buyer? My sister, Carla. My heart broke all over again. Carla and I had always had a rocky relationship. She was 6 years younger. Always chasing get-rich schemes. Always needing money. But she was still my sister. When I called to confront her, she didn't deny it. She just said, I needed the car more than you did. And Lisa said you wouldn't care. Lisa. My neighbor. My so-called friend. I realized they'd been working together. Playing me like a fool. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront them both. But I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath. And I called a lawyer. The lawyer's advice was clear: stay quiet. Gather every shred of evidence. No angry texts. No social media posts. Just patience. So I played the grieving, clueless widow. I let Lisa keep helping me with the bills and paperwork. She thought she still had me wrapped around her finger. I bought a cheap voice recorder and hid it under the end table where Lisa always sat during her visits. 2 weeks later, I got what I needed. Lisa slipped up. She told me she'd handled the dealership and that they wouldn't come after us. Us? That was all the proof I needed. I also started digging into Carla's activities. Turns out she'd been bragging to a few friends about the sweet deal she got on Hank's old Chevy. One of those friends gave me screenshots of texts where Carla admitted Lisa had forged the paperwork. My lawyer and I gathered it all. Bank records. Forged documents. Voice recordings. Screenshots. Then we went to the police. The detective assigned to my case took one look at the mountain of evidence and said, "Ma'am, this is serious. Felony serious." I asked him to do me one favor. Can you wait to arrest them until Sunday? They always go to church together. They sit at the fellowship hall luncheon like nothing's wrong. Like they're saints. He agreed. That Sunday came fast. I dressed in a simple black dress. The same one I'd worn to Hank's funeral. When I walked into the fellowship hall, Lisa's face lit up. She came over, arms wide. "Honey. What a blessing to see you here." Carla followed, carrying a tray of cookies. She looked nervous. She should have. "I just wanted to be around good people today," I said. 10 minutes later, 2 plainclothes officers walked in. "Lisa and McCall?" one asked. Her face froze. "Yes? You need to come with us." Carla tried to bolt toward the exit, but another officer stopped her. "Carla Mae Denton? You too?" Someone gasped. A few people dropped their forks. The officers cuffed them both right there, in front of the fellowship crowd. Lisa's face went beet red. Carla started sobbing. The pastor stepped forward, demanding to know what was going on. One officer said loud enough for the whole room, "Fraud. Identity theft. Forgery." I didn't say a word. I just watched. And for the first time in months, I felt in control again. The fellowship hall emptied out fast after the arrests. Some people avoided looking at me. Others gave me sad, pitying smiles. I didn't care. I went home and sat in Hank's recliner, Buck curled up at my feet. For the first time in months, the house felt quiet in a good way. But my peace didn't last. 2 days later, I got a call from Detective Rollins. "They've both lawyered up," he said. "Lisa's denying everything. Carla's trying to cut a deal." "A deal?" I asked. "Yeah. Carla's telling the DA that Lisa masterminded everything. She claims Lisa promised her a cut of the money if she helped forge your signature and keep you distracted." That part didn't surprise me. Carla always sold out whoever she could to save herself. But then Rollins said something that made my stomach drop. "They're saying you gave them permission." "What?" I stood up so fast Buck jumped. "They're claiming you were in on it. That you told Lisa to buy the truck and open the credit cards because you wanted to ruin your own credit before filing bankruptcy." My mouth went dry. "That's a lie." "I know. But they're both sticking to it." It got worse. That evening, someone egged my house. They also slashed the tires on my old Honda Civic. I knew exactly who it was, Carla's oldest son, Dylan. He was 23 and had been in trouble since he was 15. I called the police. Rollins came himself. You want to press charges? I looked at my car, at the eggs dripping down my front window. No, I said. Let him make his choices. He'll pay for them soon enough. Then the church turned on me. Not everyone. But enough. Pastor Graham called and asked if I'd be willing to sit down with Lisa and Carla's families for a restorative conversation. They're both deeply sorry, he said. Maybe this was a misunderstanding that got out of hand. I almost laughed. A misunderstanding? They stole $38,000, forged my name, and tried to wreck my life. They're God's children. We all make mistakes. I hung up. A few days later, a couple from church left a note on my door saying they were praying for my hateful heart. I stopped going to church after that. Carla made bail first. Lisa followed a week later. They both tried to contact me. Lisa sent a handwritten letter, blaming peer pressure and claiming she only did what she did because she thought I'd given up on life. Carla texted me late at night, please don't ruin my kids' lives over a mistake. We're family. I blocked her. But then I got a call from my lawyer. The DA might offer them a plea deal. Restitution in exchange for lighter sentencing. They've agreed to pay back as much as they can. I didn't trust it. Not for a second. But my lawyer reminded me, if you want to avoid a dragged-out trial and see some money returned, this is the fastest way. I agreed, on one condition. I wanted in writing that they admit guilt. No plea where they walk away claiming they were coerced or misunderstood. The DA agreed. But that's when Carla made her next move. She tried to flip the narrative publicly. One Sunday afternoon, a friend messaged me a link to a local Facebook group post. It was from Carla's oldest daughter, Emily. My mom and Aunt Lisa are being unfairly punished because of a grieving widow's confusion and misplaced anger. They tried to help. Now they might go to jail for it. Please pray for our family. There were hundreds of comments. People arguing. Some called me a liar. Others defended me. Then someone posted a comment I'll never forget. Funny how nobody mentions that OP signed everything willingly. She just regrets it now because she spent the money and can't pay it back. It had no name attached. Just a fake account. But I knew it was Lisa. That was it. I called Detective Rollins. I changed my mind about the plea deal. Okay, I want to go to trial. No deals. No reduced sentences. You sure? It'll be rough. I'm sure. Once I told Detective Rollins and the DA I wanted to go to trial, things moved fast. Lisa and Carla both tried every trick in the book to avoid it. Their lawyers pushed for delays, claiming health problems, family emergencies, anything to buy time. I didn't budge. Meanwhile, their little social media campaign backfired. The Facebook group turned into a battleground. People started sharing their own stories about Lisa and Carla. Lisa had borrowed money from at least 3 other widows and never paid it back. Carla had used fake references to get loans before. By the time the trial date rolled around, public sympathy was gone. I testified. So did Detective Rollins. The dealership manager came in and confirmed the forged truck paperwork. Lisa's lawyer tried to paint me as unstable, grieving, and confused. Isn't it possible my client was just helping her friend, and misunderstandings occurred? I stayed calm. Misunderstandings don't open credit cards and forge signatures. Thieves do. Carla's lawyer threw her under the bus. Blamed Lisa for everything. Carla even cried on the stand, begging for mercy because she didn't want her children to suffer. I didn't look at her. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts. That Sunday, I got one more note left in my mailbox. No name. Just 5 words, you'll regret doing this. I handed it to Rollins. He said not to worry. But I did. For the first time since this nightmare began, I wondered if I'd gone too far. If Carla's kids, my own nieces, would grow up hating me. Then I reminded myself, I didn't ruin their lives. Their mothers did. Lisa, 5 years prison. 7 years probation after. Full restitution ordered. Carla, 3 years prison. 5 years probation. Restitution. Judge's final words still echo in my mind, your crimes were not just against the law. They were against trust, family, and the basic decency that holds communities together. After the trial, my lawyer sat me down. You know they can't repay everything, right? And the legal battle left your finances strained. How bad? I asked. Between the debt they racked up, your legal fees, and the home repairs from vandalism, bankruptcy is your best option. I sighed. Hank and I had worked our whole lives to avoid that word. But I agreed. Filed for Chapter 7. It felt like defeat at first. But then I realized something, I wasn't just closing a chapter. I was closing a door to the people who had betrayed me. Now. I live in Hot Springs. Smaller house. Less stuff. Buck's getting old, but he's still my shadow. I joined a new church. One where nobody knows my past. I volunteer at the food pantry. I stay busy. Carla's kids never reached out again. Maybe one day they will. Maybe they won't. But I sleep at night. Because when people tried to break me, I didn't break. I gathered every piece of evidence. I stayed quiet when screaming would have felt easier. I let the truth bury them. And when justice came, I watched without pity. Because sometimes, forgiveness is just another word for letting people get away with it.